Africa-EU Parliamentary Assembly, and I truly welcome the initiative of the Subcommittee on Human Rights to invite our guests and to hold this exchange of views on the situation in Tanzania. I speak today as a member of the European Parliament, as the Vice Chair of the delegation to the Africa-EU Parliamentary Assembly, but about all as a human being concerned with the rights of others, with the rights of people. Let me begin by saying this. Our Parliament has adopted a resolution in November 2025 after the distressing scenes we saw in the aftermath of the general election, condemning the unlawful and excessive use of force by Tanzanian security forces, the mass arrests, the nationwide shutdown of the internet, and the detention of the opposition leader Tundu Lisu. Just last week, the Parliament said no to the Commission's funding plans for Tanzania unless the protection of human rights improves. The position of the Parliament is clear. We condemn these acts, we denounce these wrongdoings, and we urge for better, for respect for human rights. I would also like to acknowledge the extraordinary courage of our guests, as they are taking risks for being here. We know the situation is dire and very critical. We know the situation is dangerous. So I can only thank you for being here to provide us with important first-hand information on what is happening on the ground in Tanzania. With my colleagues from the delegation to EU-Africa Parliamentary Assembly, we went on mission to Eswatini last month and met with parliamentarians from across the African continent. The Assembly was a moment of open dialogue between our two continents, and we found common ground that is rooted in respect for the rights of all. In Eswatini, we adopted many important recommendations which addressed also human rights, democracy, and governance. We call for a closer Africa-EU coordination to defend democratic principles and human rights, as well as strengthening support African-led initiatives. On that topic, I would like to ask Madam Mugabe, what is the latest news on your husband? Have you been able to access him? And what are the conditions he is right now in Tanzania? And to Madam Lerdov too, whether there has been any update on the conditions of Mr. Polepole. And to Mr. Onyala, he will be probably online, thank you for being with us here as well. Amnesty International has recommended that international actors take decisive actions in the face of erosion of fundamental rights and the repression of the Tanzanian people. What do you expect from European and international actors? What more can those with leverage do in this dire situation? Thank you very much once again for allowing me to have this introduction. I'm really looking forward to all of your responses. Thank you once again.
Merci, chers collègues, pour cette intervention. J'ai maintenant l'honneur d'accueillir, vous l'avez un peu dit, des intervenants de tout premier plan pour poursuivre cette importante discussion sur la Tanzanie. Madame Agnès Lerdorf, qui est la sœur de Humphrey Polepole. Ce dernier a occupé les fonctions d'ambassadeur de la Tanzanie au Malawi, puis à Cuba. Vous allez partager avec nous un témoignage personnel et familial concernant l'enlèvement présumé de votre frère à Dar es Salaam en Tanzanie le 6 octobre 2025. Vous avez, chère madame, la parole pour 4 minutes.
Honorable members of the European Parliament, thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Agnes Polepole Lerdorf. I'm Tanzanian living in Denmark, and I stand before you today not merely a witness, but as a voice for the voiceless, the terrorized, and the exile. I speak as a sister of a patriot who loved his country too deeply to remain silent. My brother Humphrey Polepole devoted much of his life saving Tanzania. He rose through the ranks of ruling party and later served as Tanzania's ambassador to Cuba. He believed deeply in his country and his duty of public service. Yet when he began speaking openly about corruption, injustice, and the growing erosion of democratic freedom, he became a target. The consequences of our family were devastating. My elderly mother was repeatedly harassed. My sister was abducted and brutally assaulted. We live under constant intimidation. Then on the night of the 6th October 2025, my brother was taken. Witnesses have alleged the involvement of security officials. Blood was left behind. Humphrey disappeared. Since that night, we have heard nothing. No answers, no accountability, no justice. Every day my family lives with the agony of not knowing of the fate of our loved one. It is cruelty that family should ever have it to endure. Suddenly, Humphrey case is not an isolated one. Across Tanzania, journalists, opposition figures, Tundu Lisu, human rights defender, and ordinary citizens have faced intimidation, imprisonment, violence, and enforcement disappearance. For exercising rights, they should belong to every human being. This is not simply political issues. It is a human one. It concerns dignity, liberty, and the rule of law. I respectfully ask this Parliament to call for the independent international investigation into the disappearance of Humphrey Polepole and all reported cases of abduction and enforcement disappearance in Tanzania. I ask you to demand accountability from the Tanzanian authorities and to ensure the human rights remain central of the European Union engagement with Tanzania. And if serious violation continue with investigation consequences, I ask you to consider targeted sanction against those responsible, not to punish a nation, but to protect its people, that the people of Tanzania deserve the same freedom that European rights cherish. The freedom to speak, to participate in public life, and to live without fear. Today, I ask to stand with the families who are still waiting for answers. Stand with those who have been silenced. Stand with those who have loved ones in the south and have been confirmed killed by security organs. Stand with those who have disappeared. And above all, stand with the Tanzanian people in their pursuit of justice, dignity, and freedom. My brother's fates remain unknown, but silence must not be the final answer until the truth is known, until those responsible are held accountable, and until every family can live without fear and the struggle continues. I ask you today, stand on the side of truth. Stand on the side of justice. Stand with the people of Tanzania. Thank you.
Merci, chère madame, pour ce témoignage. Je crois que tout le monde a ressenti l'émotion que vous avez transmise et écouté le message fort que vous avez exprimé. Ça vaut ce que ça vaut, mais notre résolution de novembre 2015 a cité le cas de votre frère et nous continuerons d'exiger que toute la lumière soit faite et que les questions de votre frère, et nous continuerons d'exiger que toute la lumière soit